Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.
Welcome to another episode of Alchemizing Energy. Today we have attorney Calvin D. Johnson from Texas. He is going to be giving us a lot of information about what to avoid, the rules of engagement when it comes down to when you get pulled over by police, when you're dealing with the police, when you're encountered by the police. And without further ado, we are going to add him to the stage. Welcome, Calvin Johnson. Welcome to the stage.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Shay. So, I know you personally, because you helped me. I've had a few DWIs back in the day, and, it's interesting how, like, when these things happen, it could be a real crazy thing, when you deal with, like, I had never been arrested before. And, it was a person that just gave me your number, which was a really easy number to remember, that 565-5600. And I remembered that number. And I gave you a call. But before we even get into what you do as a lawyer, I wanted to just give me, who is Calvin Johnson and why criminal law? Why did you choose this path?
I tell you, it's interesting. I'm a little different because I'm from South Dallas. I grew up in two neighborhoods who actually don't like each other, which is the Bear Street Bonton neighborhood, Turner Courts, and the Dixon Circle neighborhood, where actually, when the gangs first, when the Crips came to Dallas, my neighborhood was the first Crip set in the city, the Dixon Trey 5-7 Crips. And so I grew up in a neighborhood in Dallas that was known for Larry Johnson, of course, the basketball player that went to UNLV, that went along to play with the Charlotte Hornets, and it was known for the Grandmama commercials. He was a friend of mine growing up, and he was a motivating factor in our community. For me to try to make it. I initially was a basketball player. I went to Law Magdalene High School, played basketball at Howard Payne University shortly. Then I went to law school at St. Mary's in San Antonio after I went to Howard Payne University. And then I finished law school in 2001. I got extremely lucky. I went into business on my own, ended up through my former high school coach, my college teammate, and my barber. I ended up meeting Frida Bosch, who's Chris Bosch's mother. So I was Chris Bosch's personal attorney at the NBA draft where LeBron, Carmelo, and Dwayne Wade was at. I actually had dinner with Dwayne Wade the night he was drafted. I partied with Carmelo, Nas, and DJ Clue the night that they were drafted. I got to go to New York. And so I ended up being a criminal lawyer, but I also did some sports and entertainment stuff through the Bosches. I also represent local Dallas rapper, Seven the Great, Grody, greatest rapper out of Dallas ever. As well as I also dabble with my buddy Picasso Verbadelic. So that's something else that I do as well. So I've been practicing law in Dallas for about 22 years. I used to be the attorney for the largest teachers union in the state, Alliance AFT. And I needed to be able to, that's my wife just came in. I just also, of course, ran for the Dallas City Council twice. And I've been practicing law for 22 years.
Welcome to the panel, Calvin. So the reason why I really wanted to bring you on, because, during election times, for some odd reason, it seems like police brutality and all kind of police activities get like a spotlight on them. Every time this time happens. Have you noticed that? And what do you think that is? What do you think the cause of that is?
A lot of the situations, a lot of us, we don't have the best relationship with police to begin with. And what happens typically is we get in there and there's already a little bit of animosity between us and the police. I mean, let's be honest. Black people have to be honest with themselves first. Nobody likes to engage with law enforcement. Most of those first engagements typically are negative. I mean, do you have to call the police every now and then? Yeah, but in the communities that we come from, the police are not seen as somebody who's even friendly or neutral. So when you get stopped and then you're grown and you're black, or you're young and you're black, the relationship for yourself is along with the police is not the best relationship to begin with. Typically, most of us are agitated that we're being stopped or questioned in the first place.
So why do you think that right now, like every election, it seems like police activity goes up in the community? Like I've seen more and more activity seem to be. Do you think it's that the news is covering it more, or to like add like change within, or make some like what do you think it is that's causing that? Whenever there's an election, you'll see more activity in the news about police brutality, things like that. What do you think is happening there?
I think the news covers it a lot, and then it's a hot topic. I mean, when you look at Trayvon Martin, Philando Castile, George Floyd, and when you think about those things, and the young lady here in Texas that lost her life behind it as well, when you look at those things, Sandra Bland, when you look at those situations are high profile, and that could have been any of us. I remember a situation where me and Charles Harper were doing a show called the In the Den Show, and we actually went to New Orleans, the Essence Festival, and I got to interview Trayvon Martin's parents. And the thing that it reminded me was, as we were talking about Trayvon and his death with his mother and him, there was just a look on this man's face of resignation, of sadness, because as we talked about it, I could look at him and you could tell that a part of him inside died when his son died. And I felt, as a black man, he almost felt like that he didn't do enough by not crashing out. And people have to understand this. When somebody takes your child's life and that person was just a man and you're a man, a lot of us, an eye for an eye. And so we have to be very careful about those situations. And so when you look at police brutality, you look at George Floyd, you look at Sandra Bland, you look at Philando Castile, you look at those situations, man, that's a lot of situations that shouldn't have went that way. But because there's a lack of respect, number one, going both ways. There's a lack of respect for us going toward the officers because of the bad relationships. And then there's a lack of respect for them because a lot of them, unfortunately, some of them don't know how to approach people, and some of them will approach you on a power trip. Now, there's some good officers out there. Not all of them are bad, but some of them definitely are doing the job, adding a little sauce on it that's unneeded.
So let's get into the real. Why did you get into criminal law of all things? You could have chose real estate. You could have chose the easy way, family law. You could have been insurance, because that's the money. You get the insurance and all that stuff and become an ambulance chaser. What made you say, I want to get into criminal law?
Because I had worked at a lot of law firms where I was in school, and they just worked their guys to death. And I never wanted to work for anybody. I had a guy named Reese that worked at Reese Record Shop, ran his own business for years. He said, never let another man tell you how much you're worth. And so I wanted to start my own business. And because criminal law, when you think about it, look, in South Dallas, the two major neighborhoods in South Dallas, honestly, were Bunton and Dixon Circle. Let's be real. And in those communities, I knew a bunch of criminals. I'm not going to lie. I grew up with guys that went to the feds. I grew up with guys that did 20, 25 years because my community was ground zero for the crack era in Dallas. The drugs came through Dixon Circle. People would come from all over the city to score their drugs through Dixon Circle. And so I grew up around people selling drugs, getting in trouble, and get into the system. And the reason why I decided to be a criminal lawyer is one guy got in trouble one time and he went to jail 3 straight times. He would get out, sell dope, come up, get out, sell dope, come up. And I asked him a question one day. I said, how much money Did you pay your lawyer the first time? $10,000. How much you pay out? $15,000 to get out of the jail by the bond? $15,000. How much you pay your lawyer second time? $20,000. How much you have to pay bond? $15,000 more. How much you pay your lawyer the third time? $25,000. How much you have to pay get out? $50,000. And the way I thought is like, why would I be the drug dealer? I'm going to be the lawyer. It was common sense to me because,
right.
I mean, honestly, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm going to be the lawyer because I knew somebody that was giving, and I knew he had the money. He was giving out, shout out to my boy, Pierre Jackson. He had the money to be able to do that. And he had spent, what, 10, 15, 25, he spent $50,000 in about a two-year period. One guy. So I realized, I'm like, you know what? I can open my own law office. My Uncle Percy actually worked at the building at MLK, and he got me in the building. I said, I own my own law office, and people are going to come to me because, number one, I understand crime from a different perspective. And then I'm educated at these private schools. I went to a private Baptist university and a private Catholic law school. So I understood, based on my knowledge of crime and criminals and the fact that I have been privately educated, I knew what I could do in criminal law. I was going to be different. I know stuff in criminal law that criminal lawyers don't know because I'm a street guy. I'm going to be honest. I'm from the street. So I'm a street guy who happens to be a criminal lawyer. So I understood everything. Even when my clients tell me stories about themselves getting in trouble. I had one, and I'm going to tell the story. I'll make y'all laugh. I had this guy tell me he moved these drugs for these guys, and they were only going to give him this amount of money, and he didn't know what was in there and this and that. And he tried to tell me the story. I was like, no, the price off. He said, what are you talking about? I said, no, man, the price off. That's not right. How do you know? I said, I just know. And so we go through his case. He proceeded to continue to lie to me. At the end of this case, because he lied to me, he ended up getting time. Because he lied to me, would never come clean. At the end of the hearing, his cousin, who was at the hearing, came to me and said, is there anything I can do? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, I'm going to tell you the truth, man. They were paying us more money than that. I knew. The story he was telling me didn't make sense, and he tried to BS me. So I knew that I have a talent for understanding crime, criminals, and then understanding the system. And then I'm going to fight for people. And that's the difference with me, right? I'm going to fight for people harder than just a regular person. You know why? Because I've seen guys get 10, 20, 25 years. There's one of the guys that was in jail, no joke. His son was born. His son was 1 when he went to jail. He did 20 years. His son was 21 when he got out. He actually came out and hired me to represent his son. He was in there all the time that I was in school, high school, college, law school. Like, he did it from the age of when I was 15, he went in. He didn't get out until I was like 35, 36 years old.
Wow.
So while he was doing time, I was in school. And then one of the best guys, I'll tell you, Aloysius Yarborough, God bless his soul, he's gone now, clean. He was one of the first guys that pulled me to the side, and he was a very smart guy in my neighborhood. But back then, the Jamaicans came through in my neighborhood, and his house burned down. He was a college student, about 3 semesters to finish college. And he decided to tell me, he pulled me to the side. He said, man, keep doing what you're doing. I was like, what? He's like, I know you're tired. I see you walking. It's hot outside. I see you see everybody with money. You want money like me. I see how you be looking at me, but don't do what I'm doing because eventually they're going to catch me too. And true story, they eventually caught him. It took him 10 years, but he started to go to prison, and I would see him. He'd do 5 years, then 10 years, then get out. And the last time he went to prison, true story, I represented him. So life is full story. Life is full circle. I represented him, got him less time than he would have gotten, and got him home on parole. And he ended up like catching pneumonia or COVID and ended up passing away a year after he got out. But I do criminal law, and I treat it like I'm going to jail, not just my clients, but like I'm going to jail. And sometimes I can't keep people from going to jail, but I try to make them land as softly as I possibly can.
So, you talk about that Bonton, like MLK kind of area over there. Every city's got their own MLK. But I've actually witnessed that whole thing over there. They cleaned it up now. There was this one house. It was a green house over there off of MLK.
Mm-hmm.
I forget what street it's on, but it was really known. I mean, but it was really known for like drug activity. I mean, everybody knew that was the spot to go. That, and there's another apartment building across the street. If you know what I'm talking about, they turned it white now. They repainted it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: how could something exist that long, where people know that there's activity going on there for years, and they're just now got everybody up out of there? How does something like that happen? How? Because I had an ex that was on drugs. You know what I'm saying? And one time he took me in that area, and I was looking over there like, what the hell is going on over here? It was like New Jack City.
Yeah.
Like the street addiction. I mean, this looked like New York.
I'm gonna tell you something about Dixon. You're gonna laugh when I tell you this. Like, we were the first. I gotta tell you a story, Monica. I don't want to cut off.
Go ahead.
In Dixon, there was 2 ways in and 2 ways out. On both ways in, there is a 45 to a 1 minute drive up, right? So cops were coming. They had to drive even if they were driving fast, they had to drive for 45 seconds to a minute. The guys put young guys on the corners at both ends of the street. And if anybody saw cops, they would go headache, 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 headache. And then a headache check would run off the block. The apartments that everybody sold the drugs was, the doors would open. People would just walk in the doors, and when the cops came by, nobody was even standing outside. It was very organized in the community that I came from. And there was only 2 ways in and 2 ways out. And it was a perfect place to do wrong because you couldn't infiltrate that community. Everybody knew each other. You couldn't send some random guy in because we knew.
Well, you know what? And I it makes sense because I'm like, dude, you got people outside looking all crazy and stuff like that. And I'm like, how is this still going on? When you see it, it's like, this is insane, because like I said, you see people walking that, it's some wild stuff going on there. People are like looking wild. You know what I'm saying? But
it's money. It comes down to money. I mean, there's a lot of money in the dope game. I try to tell people in criminal law, you never know who's going to walk in your door. You never know who they're connected to because they're not going to tell you everything. I don't want to tell too many stories, but I got to give you the good stuff. A BMF affiliate came in my office once back in the day. I didn't even know he was one. And I had to figure it out later because he saw me in the elevated courthouse one day, ended up going to jail the same day he saw me. Called me that night, and I told him, I said, I need like $7,500 to represent you. And I didn't know if he was going to give it to me or not. In 10 minutes, somebody was wiring me $7,500.
Wow.
And then he owed me some more money when he got out. So we got him a bond set, got him out. And this dude would fly into his court dates on a day's notice. And then he started to come down to the courthouse in these limos. And the limo would bring him to court and would wait outside the court for 3 hours while he had court, and then they would leave. And I was like, who in the hell can pay a limo for 3 hours to wait at a court date all the time, right? And I was like, what the hell? So this continues to happen 4, 5, 6 times he does this. And when I'm talking to him and I'm like, hey man, where you going after this? You gonna fly back? Nah, I gotta go see my uncle up in Plano, Frisco, man. I gotta go see my uncle up in Plano, Frisco. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I got to go see my uncle. Do you know who his uncle was?
Who?
Do you know where Big Meech was caught?
Where was he caught at?
Frisco. Big Meech was living in Frisco.
So it was his nephew that you was representing? Didn't even know that. Oh, wow.
He just called him his nephew. Check this out. The limos, do you know how they transported everything, right?
Uh-huh.
They transported all the dope and the money in these limos that had compartments.
What?
So the limo that was waiting for him, he just drove it. He just had a guy drive him down, and he was going. He was going
to drop off the drugs to his uncle. Oh,
to drop off drugs and pick up money.
Wow. So 7,500 was. I know you like, dang, I could have got more.
No. I ended up charging him like 15,000, 20,000. He paid it. Matter of fact, he paid me extra, which is a telltale sign, and I'm gonna tell you why. And what really tipped me off. One day he came in my office, right? I charged him like $7,500 down just to get him out. Then I charged him like another 10 or 15. He paid it. Every time he came, he dropped me three, 4 grand. He paid it off because I wasn't trying to hit him hard. I was just trying to get him on my side, right? So the thing that tipped me off one day, he came in my office. It was a young lady in the office, right? and she was looking rough. You know, her nails weren't done, her feet weren't done, her hair wasn't done. He kept looking at her as he came to talk to me because he came in my office. So he gets ready to leave. He said, baby girl, here's $400. I need you to get your hair and your nails done and get you an outfit. You don't need to be walking around here like this. He didn't ask her for a phone number. He didn't try to talk to her. He just gave her $400 and walked out.
What?
And I was like, who does that?
Yeah.
So fast forward, we getting ready to I finally got him because they was trying to give him jail time because he had a record. So I get him probation. He's like, man, I'm good with the probation, man. Give me a couple of years probation. Man, I know you work. I work hard. I get him to probation. He's supposed to fly back. I start calling him. I said, hey, man, damn. He ain't call me back. I'm hitting him and hitting him and hitting him. I'm texting him. He don't call me back. I'm texting him. He don't call me back. Then I talk to the prosecutor. He's like, you know, your boys just got hit in Atlanta. I was like, what? Yeah, man, they had a big indictment up in Atlanta, Chicago, and a lot of guys went down, and your guys were in that indictment. I was like, oh man. That's when I put the two and two together.
Man, so that seems like a fine line, right? Because you're dealing with these people that have like this, that you never know who you're even dealing with. And how do you not
they don't tell me everything. They don't tell me. He didn't tell me that's what he was doing. I had to figure it out on my own. And because I'm a street guy, I realized now I understand because I watched all the stuff. I was like, the limo, that's why he got the limo. Because who comes to damn court in a limo and then have a limo driver wait down there in 3 hours?
Right. Who got the money to do that?
And you know what I realized? Have you ever seen a limo get pulled over?
No, never. Wow. They were smart. They were smart.
And if they do pull it over, guess what? You had to turn the radio on 102.5, cut the air on 62, cut your light on, your right headlight on, to even in for everything to open up.
Right. So by the time the whole thing, they probably have a compartment in there, dump everything out, or I don't know.
Listen, whatever. To even have everything open up, you had to do all of those things. You had to put the air on 62. You had to cut the radio on 102.5. You had to cut your right headlight on. You have to have your left beamer on. Like they had their compartments set up that way.
What?
And you didn't do all of those stuff in order, the compartments wouldn't open.
So somebody had to have ratted them out to say how to even find what they were looking for to even be able to get the stuff.
They eventually figured it out. But see, that's the kind of stuff that I've had to deal with. But I realized it, but you never know who your clients are.
Right. That's actually scary. So have you ever had a situation where maybe a person got arrested and really like got upset and was trying to come after you or anything like that? Did you ever have like some weird?
Man, listen, let me tell you, that's something that happens. That's happened several times. There's been like 3 or 4 times where I had some issues. Believe it or not, I had a guy that I played college basketball with, and he was pimping. And I didn't know like what he was doing initially. We actually met again on the basketball. I played college basketball with the guy, and he ended up getting in all this trouble. And I was getting him out of it, and then they offered him probation because they had everything on him. They had put a pole camera up in front of this business that he was running on Northwest Highway. And if you know Dallas, Northwest Highway is the track. I mean, that's the track. Harry Hines, Northwest Highway, that's the track. And so he had set up a modeling studio out there, and they had put pole cameras up, and they had 12 weeks of cameras, and they had pulled his trash for 6 weeks. I told him to take probation. He didn't take it. They had a cabinet full of evidence that he had been keeping receipts and stuff with, and he didn't take the deal. And man, he started threatening me and writing books and talking crazy.
Writing books about? He wrote books about it.
Man, he tried to make it look like that I was a villain and he was wronged. And I was like, dude, I got you. I made it to where you could bond out, and you got yourself in a situation that had nothing to do with me. We used to play basketball together and in college a little bit, and then we would play at 24-Hour Fitness. And some of the pastors who played with them, there were pastors who played basketball with us. They tried to tell him, hey man, you're not living your life right. They tried to pull him to the side. And you know what he told those pastors?
What?
God told me to pimp these hoes.
He told the pastor that?
Yeah. And one of the things,
where is he at now? Is he still in jail?
He's out talking crazy to people, writing books, making it look like he was wronged. But you know what I have to realize is everybody isn't going to be happy. Listen, I've been in this business 22 years. And like some people will go on Google reviews and they'll be like, yeah, I read your Google reviews. You got about 20 positive reviews, but you got about 10 bad reviews. And I said, well, most of my clients that I get out of trouble, they don't want people to know they were in trouble in the first place.
Right.
And the 9 and the 22 years that were not happy, they of course are going to sandbag me, but it's not my fault. I mean, a lot of people who I represented where stuff bad happened, they did what they did and it didn't work out for them either because A, they had so much evidence and didn't want to listen to me, or B, they just repeatedly made bad decisions. Like I had one guy, remember, he was selling dope in a school zone and then he was dating the sheriff's daughter of a country town that he was in.
What?
You know what I'm saying?
That's
crazy. That's crazy. I'm like, man, you're
dating. What was he in Wichita or something like that? Some crazy.
No, he was out in Gainesville. He was in Gainesville, Texas. I remember that guy.
Because you don't want to get caught out in Wichita.
Man, listen, it's a bunch of places and there's a bunch of sundown towns in Texas where you don't want to do that. And I was like, man, you can't expect me to work magic for you. I had one guy, and I got to tell y'all this story because it's good. I want to open people's eyes of what a criminal lawyer deals with, right? I got one guy, he's been to the pen twice. This is my second or third time representing him. He's been to the pen like 3 times. He's selling dope on Northwest. Y'all know what Northwest Highway is in this area of town, right? In Dallas, right?
Yeah.
So he's selling dope from a walk-up motel. I'm not talking about the motel that's on the inside. I'm talking about the one with the outside doors.
And they got cameras everywhere.
Right down from the damn where you pay your rent for the room at down there. He on the other end, right? So check this out. He's selling dope out of a walk-up motel room. He got 3 Cadillacs on 24s with spinners on candy paint in front of the room he's staying in.
Dumb.
He then took the TV, the regular TV out the motel room, and then put a 65-inch Samsung in there.
What?
He think he Pimp C. He think he is Pimp C. No joke. And so he's been in jail 2 years and 2 months. On a 5-year sentence, you could have did 2 years and 6 months and been up for parole. Usually on a 5-year sentence, you'll do 3, maybe 3.5 at the most. They offered him 5, which he would have did between another 6 months and a year and been out, no probation, nothing. He'd be good. Because he had been to the pen twice, he was 25 to life. You know, he turned that down.
Wow.
He turned it down and then proceeded to file a bar complaint on me.
What?
Got 28.
Man.
Because once you get found guilty, it's 25 to life. He got caught with 4 different drugs inside the room. He had 35 different people's prescription bottles. I guess he was trading. He had 50 pairs of Jordans, 35 baseball caps. That room was home to him.
So do they count all that? Like if you have all this stuff, they add it all up and say, okay, well.
They do, man. And he had 4 different kind of drugs in the room with him. And I remember in the pimp case I told you about, he actually had some DVDs sitting on top of his VCR. He had American Pimp and Pimps Ups and Hoes Downs. He had the DVDs sitting there. So they took a picture of that, and that was an exhibit in the trial.
Wow.
And I told him, I said, don't go to trial on this, man. I get you probation. You can walk out of here.
So here's the thing. Okay, let's get into that. The plea deal. Well, first I want to get into being honest 100% with your lawyer. How important is that?
I would rather you tell me what you did wrong, because I'm going to try to minimize how that can affect you. Some people ask me, how can you represent somebody you know is guilty? Well, I tell the same people, well, how can these prosecutors find people guilty that they know are innocent, and these people go get these life sentences, you know, and then they don't care. And so it's not my job to determine whether somebody did it or not. My job is to make the state prove they did it.
So a lot of time people think of lawyers as that you work for the state, so therefore you might not really be the person to trust, because at the end of the day you even though you are a lawyer, you work for the court. So therefore
No,
maybe they don't feel. Go ahead, let's go.
we don't work. We don't really work for the court. I'll tell you what. Like, I'm a private practice attorney that happens to take court appointments. Sometimes I get court appointed to cases. That's not the majority of my business. The majority of my business is I'm privately retained. But when I'm privately retained, I work as hard as I do for my paid clients, because in my mind and my heart, I hate seeing people go to jail. And the reason why I say I hate seeing people go to jail is because you have to understand, I grew up in a community that more than half of the people I grew up with ended up doing bids between 5 and 25 and 30 years. So we lost a whole generation of men. So I hate to see people go to jail. I treat it like I'm going to jail. That's how I fight for my clients. I treat it like I'm going to jail, because I know the effect of going to jail and what that does to a family, what it does to a mother, a son, a girlfriend or a wife, a brother or a sister. I understand. Kids, I understand.
So let's get into the private versus court appointed. Like, what is the difference? I mean, do you feel like that if you pay the lawyer, you're going to get better out of them, versus if you go court appointed? Like, if you don't have the money, do you stand a better chance of going to prison?
It depends on the lawyer. Like myself, if you pay a lawyer, typically a lawyer's going to have more time to spend on your case. You want your lawyer to do his job in comfort. The court appointed, it only pays so much. So you're not going to spend all your time on that, because you're making a living just like anybody else. I mean, you got to eat, you got a family. It's a business. And the only thing you're selling is time. So if somebody pays the lawyer, typically you want your paid clients to make sure you take care of, because they're going to be your referral base. The court appointed stuff, maybe it's not your referral base, but in my case, I can't speak for other lawyers. But I will do is that I fight hard for everybody. I hate people going to jail. It messes up my weekend. If somebody has to go to prison, at night I don't sleep well. I hate it.
So do court appointed attorneys work for free, or do they?
We get paid. We get paid. We either bill by the case or by the hour, depending on what happens in your case. And a lot of us get paid by the hour. So sometimes fighting longer, spending more time on your case will benefit us as well. So sometimes you can get a court-appointed lawyer and it works out for him. I remember I had a Hispanic client, man. We got in there and he initially didn't like me. I was telling him he should take a deal. They were offering him a low amount of time. He wanted to fight it. And then once I realized he wasn't going to plea, I said, you know what? Let's go. And so he was acting funny. I tried to go and I tried to take him some clothes and he refused them. And that day we didn't start trial. So we started trial the next day. And I went to the back. I said, say, man, what are you doing? I said, man, I know you might not like me, but I said, I ain't trying to lose. I said, if I bring your ass some damn clothes, put them damn clothes on. I said, if we're gonna go at this, we're gonna go at this as one group. I said, I hate losing. I hate losing at marbles, jacks, flipping coins. I said, I hate losing, period. So I said, look, if we're gonna do this, let's go. But put the damn clothes on. Let's go, man. He was like, all right, man. I'll roll with you. So we ended up going to trial. And what happened was the prosecutors made a mistake, right? They made a mistake. And I called them on it. And I called the prosecutors because of what they did. I did a motion for a mistrial and judge had to grant it. And because the prosecutors made a huge mistake. And because they made that mistake, I called them making a mistake. And so they ended up getting granted a mistrial. And what ended up happening, it was so bad that I went in and they ended up offering him a deal that basically all he had to do was go back to jail for a month. And he's stone free now. He's home with his family now. But we ended up working. He ended up taking a plea, but he had already been to jail. They gave him 15 months, right? He had been in jail 14 months and 2 days. So he literally does 28 days because we fought it. And he realized, you know what? If I go to trial again, I've already saw it. If they would have messed up, they probably would have won. But he said, man, you did such a good job. Now they offer me these 15 months. I'm taking that 15 months because I think they was going to find me guilty. I just got to do 28 more days. I'm happy. And I said, not only that, man, I'm going to get your other case dismissed because they don't even want to go through this with me no more. So I got one of the cases dismissed. He ended up taking a plea that caused him to do 28 more days. When he was looking, honestly, he was looking at 2 to 20 years in jail. And because of his priors, if he'd went to a jury, they would have gave him at least anywhere between 8 and 12, 8 and 15 because of all the trouble he had been in his life. So he ended up doing 28 more days and get one of the cases dismissed. He was happy. But we went in on one accord and we fought. But so sometimes some people will, you a court appointed, you so nah, man. I said, look, when I send you them clothes, put them damn clothes on. I went and got my own clothes to put on. I gave him some of my own clothes.
So how important is the clothes and what you wear?
It's important because you don't want people to see you as a criminal. If I come out there in a jumpsuit, it's in your mind. But if I clean you up, I put a tie on you, put a black suit on and a nice tie and a nice white crisp shirt, spray a little cologne on you, you look different. People don't see criminal as you come out there. So I told him, I said, yeah, man, matter of fact, you're going to get a haircut, cut that hair a little bit. We're going to clean that up. We're going to clean your beard up a little bit. And I'm going to put you in a black suit and a white shirt. And I'm going to give you one of my ties. And that's what you're going to do. He did it.
All right. So recently, I'm not sure if you see this picture right here. There's a young man named Eligio Bishop, right?
Mm-hmm.
He recently got life in prison for what they call. Are you aware of this trial?
I know about this case. I don't know about this case to a T. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Tell me what you feel went wrong in this situation with Nature Boy.
Well, the problem is, man, anytime in this, you got to realize the times we're living in. When they accuse you of doing stuff with women, when they accuse you of raping women or doing something to a woman, whether you did it or not, you are literally kind of trying to defend yourself. You almost got to prove that you didn't do it. Now, of course, it's the state's burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that you did what they accuse you of doing. But when you're living that kind of free lifestyle and you got multiple women and you're sleeping with this woman and that woman, I don't know exactly what he did like that. But when you live in that lifestyle, man, and you out there like that, and then the other thing is you got to understand, look, man, let me tell you something, right? They on Puffy right now. But what about Hugh Hefner? I want you to think about that. Hugh Hefner lived that lifestyle forever, where he had women out there. He had a mansion they lived in, and that's what they did. But black men got to be careful. We can't do that. And I tell people this all the time. Hugh Hefner can do it, but we try to do it. We can't do what they do like they do it. And you got to be careful. So you out there living that nature boy lifestyle. You sleep. You're living free, doing free stuff. You not really following the law. You living outside of the edges and the boundaries. And you got several women, and then you got people. You got other guys that are there with you. They done brought their women in with them, and then all of a sudden you're sleeping with them, and you're sleeping with the other one, and you're sleeping with this one, and you're sleeping with that one. Hey man, that's a problem. That's not gonna work, because eventually somebody's gonna feel like they're being controlled, mind whipped, or whatnot, and they start reporting that kind of stuff, and they see you living that lifestyle. And then social media, you think about it, you're doing this all on social media too, right? So you're doing that. I mean, come on, man. Man, you can't do that. You can't do that.
And I think that somewhat of an ego went into his head, because he actually had a plea of 7 years, but he chose to go to trial. Talk about how important it is, because a lot of times that you'll hear say, don't take the plea. Don't take the plea, right? When is it important to take the plea versus when you shouldn't?
You have to look at your exposure, right? When I say look at your exposure, right? When that young man took the plea, we could have went to trial again. But unfortunately, he realizes, you know what, man, if them folk find me guilty, they're going to bring up all my priors, Mr. Johnson, that you kept out. Because I was able to keep some of his priors out during the testimony. He said, man, if they found me guilty, they're going to be able to talk about this, and this. He said, man, and I got like 7 or 8 years the last time. He said, man, they're going to start there and probably go up. And so when I came to him, and because I did such a good work and we caused a mistrial, they offered him 15 months. He'd been there 14 months and 2 days. And then I'm going to get the other one dismissed. He was like, oh man, let's go. It has to work for you. And then you have to realize, man, doing time ain't no joke, right? You have to realize, like, if it's something aggravated, you got to do half your time. So let's say I get an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon and I get 5 years. I got to do 2.5 of those 5 years. If I get 10 years, I got to do 5 years or 10 years before I make parole, if I make parole. And so some cases, some of these guys, if you've been to the pen more than 2 or 3 times, they have these things called these paragraphs, and these basically, they call them, I hate to say it, they say you high bitched, which means you're 25 to life on damn near anything you do. So if you've been to jail, prison 3 or 4 times, and you catch a first-degree felony, and because of the paragraphs, you go from 5 to 99 to 25 to life. If you go to trial and lose, the sentence will start at 25. So if somebody comes to you with a plea bargain, I just talked to DA today. They had a guy that was 25 to life. He's on camera robbing the store, the 7-Eleven. They offered him 15. They went down to 12. They went down to 10. He turned it all down. You on camera. Your fingerprints on multiple items inside of this 7-Eleven. When you robbed him, you not only took the money from the cash register, but the stuff you brought up to the cash register, you left fingerprints on it. So they're going to find you guilty. The sentence starts at 25 to life. You know what they gave him?
Life.
They gave him 59 years when he turned down a plea bargain to 10. He'd already been sitting in jail for 2 years. He could have did 3 more years and been home.
So why do you think that people don't take the plea? Why do you think that is?
Sometimes it's ego. Sometimes it's thinking that a lot of these guys, and I want you to think in Bishop's situation, he's a slick talker. He's smooth. I mean, you got to be smooth, right? You got to be smooth, confident, and cocky to have all those women around you, to be able to sleep with them like that, to get people to follow you. You're extremely charismatic. And so what happens is these guys that are in that lifestyle, they're charismatic. And they are so
they start to believe, they start to believe that, like, no, I can get up now. I'm not taking, they begin to believe the hype about themselves.
Yeah, and that's the problem. They think that they can hustle the system. But you know what I try to tell people? I say, look, I've been doing this 22 years, right? You can't hustle me. Like the guy, the guy with all the, I had a guy, he got caught and he got in the mix of bringing 1,000 keys into Texas. 1,000. Actually, 885 keys. Okay, that was 885. Okay. So I know the kind of logistics that come with trying to do that. The cartel isn't just trusting anybody to do that. So what he was doing, he got caught bringing all that stuff in, tried to lie to me about it. And his old man who had just got out the feds tried to talk to me about it. And I'm already knowing you probably hooked it up, but you don't think that I see that. That's why you asking me and you making sure your son stays 10 toes down so everybody don't get popped. That's why you talking to me. But he don't see I see it. And see, that's the thing. Like, I understand things as a criminal lawyer because I'm a street guy. I understand more than a lot of these criminals do.
So let's get into like snitches. You know what I'm saying? So you have when you really deal with like that game, right? Mm-hmm. For some reason, a lot of time people drop the dime on the person. Like, why do you think that is? Do you think that law, like, there's some kind of like, why is it that a person can have a certain amount of time doing something and all of a sudden they get caught that one time? Is it because the other person got caught and they're trying to save themselves, or is it because the government's involved, knows they're doing it from top to bottom, and they have to rotate out the people that are involved, drug dealing, doing it?
Listen, we live in a new era now, right? Snitches are celebrated. I came from an era in Dixon Circle. I'm gonna tell you, guys over there did not snitch. You know why? Because it was like family. And I'm not even in the game. I'm not a dope dealer. I'm gonna be honest with you. People trip out when I tell them, I never tried a drug in my life. And people are like, what? The reason why I never tried a drug in my life is because you have to understand, right? I grew up in the crack era. When crack hit Dixon Circle and crack hit Dallas, it hit in my neighborhood. So I knew a guy that got addicted to crack cocaine. And watching him go from a 230-pound 6'2" linebacker to 140-pound bones almost out his face, dirty. I watched somebody go from that to that in 6 months. It scared the shit out of me. It scared me so bad, and I hate to cuss.
6 months?
Yeah. More people didn't know what crack could do to you then. You have to realize, Monica, listen, people didn't understand what crack could do to you, right? Nobody knew. People were just coming off smoking marijuana. They were thinking like, okay, this stuff can't be that bad. And so I had a conversation with the guy later on, and I'm going to tell you a story that's connected to that. It was 2 guys I watched it happen to. I said, say, man, can I ask you something? About 2 years later, he finally got off the drugs and got back to himself. I said, say, man, can I ask you something? How did that stuff make you feel? You know what he told me? He said, that first night I got high, he said, I spent the next 2 years chasing a high I could never catch. And he said, I did everything to get. He said, I chased that high and I could never catch it. And when he told me that, it scared the hell out of me. And the other guy, the football player guy I was talking about, man, it was scary for him because I would be at the basketball court. Look, he had jewelry. He was in shape. He had a nice car. He had everything going from him, looking good, fit body, star athlete scholarship, but selling dope. Man, he ended up going and losing 100 and some pounds, was dirty, dirty tennis shoes, dirty wife beater on. And in 9 months, he looked like that, right? And true story, I'm going to tell you how life is full circle. And I should write a book because later on in life, and I'm going to tell you what happened to me last year, I get court appointed to a guy. And so I'm looking at the screen and I'm like, I know this guy. And so I go visit him because he's in a video booth, right? And it hit me as he was coming out. And I go, Damon? And he was like, yeah, I remember you from the basketball court. So randomly, I got appointed to the first guy I saw get hooked on drugs. And he was on a drug case.
God, wow.
So I watched it. And I shouldn't be saying names. I'm sorry. But I watched it, and I shouldn't say names. I'm sorry. We might have to beep that out. But because I don't really talk about cases like that. But I saw him, and it scared me. I literally had people, because of getting on drugs, it scared me. It scared me so bad that I never wanted to try marijuana, cocaine, heroin, X-pill. I wouldn't do anything because I always wanted to have control of my mind and my body. But when it came to snitches, back in that era, I hate to get out the story, but back in that era, people didn't tell it on each other. Those guys were tight. There was a brotherhood. Nowadays, these neighborhoods are so different, and you're not dealing with people that you know, that it's nothing for you to snitch on somebody.
So I would say, how has the fentanyl epidemic
oh my God
changed how things are being handled right now in the law enforcement?
The fentanyl epidemic has changed the game. I had a client last year die because he got some bad fentanyl. He thought he was taking some meth and got some fentanyl, and it killed him. I literally talked to the guy on Saturday. Monday he was dead because Saturday night he tried some fentanyl. I thought he was doing some meth and he got some fentanyl and ended up dying. And fentanyl has changed the game because they can actually charge you with murder now. You sell a bad batch.
Wow.
And on top of that, people don't know, and I'm gonna tell them this. In Texas, if you get a fentanyl case, if let's say you get caught with 3 different kind of drugs and one of them fentanyl. On the fentanyl case, it's a 10-year minimum, right? So you got to minimally do 10 years, and you can't get probation for it.
What?
Yeah.
So they're turning fentanyl into the new crack.
Yeah, you're dealing it, not just possession it, but you're dealing it.
And here's the thing: you don't even know what's in. So you might just think that you're selling one thing. They put that in there. Now you have a 10-year. Bottom line. Wow.
It's worse. It's worse than crack because people are actually getting murder cases behind fentanyl. There's been some bad batches. They're killing people. But see, that's the thing, right? Me coming from the street, I realized, like, I don't want to trust the street like that. You got these guys, they're not, look, come on now, y'all. Y'all know we all skip science class. Science and math, we skipped, right? We going to all other class. Science and math, we don't want to be in there. Outside of counting your money, you just want to do math, right? Yeah, that's all the math you want to do. Science, we skipping that for the most part. So am I going to trust some knucklehead on the street cooking up some pills in his own room who failed science and chemistry? Hell no. I'm not. Like you taking a listen, you playing Russian roulette with your life, taking drugs on these streets now. Even the marijuana. I had one guy, true story, was a health nut. Somebody gave him some bad K2 mixed with some other stuff in it. Dude almost lost his mind, got butt naked, went into a grocery store, took the register, stole a car, hit 8 cars going out of the parking lot. And when they finally stopped him, they tased him. And by the time they finally took him to the hospital, his skin was white. He was a light-skinned guy. His skin had a white sheen on it. And when I looked at the discovery package, I've been like, if I wasn't representing him and knowing he was alive, I would have asked you, how did he die? That's how bad he looked. And that was just on some K2 mixed with something else that somebody gave him.
And you don't even know what it was mixed with.
Man, I don't know. And this guy was a health nut. He was a bodybuilder health nut type.
Oh my God.
Vegan.
What?
But you know, his body, because he was so clean, you introduce something dirty like that into his body, went off the chains.
Wow. And K2 is just like, that's not even like a real, is it really a hard drug or?
Look, you know what I try to tell people? Everybody, we talk about movies, right? We always talk about New Jack City, just all the movies from back in the day, Colors and whatnot. The most influential movie on today's drugs was that movie called Deep Cover with Lawrence Fishburne. Go back and watch the movie Deep Cover and look at what they're talking about. They're talking about synthetic drugs. Back in the 90s.
Wow.
The whole story is about synthetic drugs and it hitting the street.
Wow. Yeah.
So think about that. That movie is a classic.
And you know it's all coming from China. That's another thing.
Yeah.
It might be even like just a warfare.
At first it was Europe, but now it's coming from China, South Asia, some of the other places, and even the cartels now. They are because it's easy to come up with the fentanyl, and they don't want to have to deal with the transport of the cocaine. They've gotten to the fentanyl business big time.
So how many cases lately have you been having to deal with when it comes to fentanyl?
Man, I deal with a fentanyl case at least once every couple of weeks.
That's awful, man.
And I had one guy first time being in trouble, and he was a 10-year minimum because he was selling fentanyl.
10-year minimum. So that's another way that they're getting our black. Well, just
man, I tell my clients stay away from that. I said, look, you are handcuffing me by selling F. Leave that F alone.
Yeah.
Leave the F alone.
So is there a such thing as fentanyl weed? I know that Jaguar Wright came out with that. You know, is there a such thing as that, like fentanyl laced?
Yeah, they can add fentanyl to the weed. You can add anything to weed.
Really?
When you think about it, you can crush the pills up, put it on the weed, you're in trouble.
Oh,
see, that's why I tell people this all the time. Like, people go like, oh, you're a square. Man, I am not doing a drug ever, period. If somebody comes to you and say Calvin Johnson overdosed on a drug, then I need y'all to do an investigation. Because that ain't gonna happen. Somebody injected me with it. Somebody slipped it to me. Because see, and I'm glad and I'm thankful to South Dallas, and more importantly, I'm thankful to Dixon Circle. You know why? Because I watched what drugs do to people. And I know the danger of it because I saw it up front. I saw fiends walking the street at 2 a.m. in the morning. There was these nice ladies that worked and went to work every day. They got hooked on crack cocaine a year later. They looked like feed the children. We used to call them the Ethiopian sisters. I'm serious. In a year's time, they went from
called strawberries, right? Where they would purposely get the women addicted so that they could be able to pimp them out. That was
that's what people are doing. They got the pink cocaine. It's a mix of cocaine and some other stuff.
That's the pink too. See, I was gonna say, have you had any cases with that new stuff lately?
I haven't. I probably had maybe one case with the 2C. It's starting to blow up a little bit more because I'm hearing more people talk about it, and that's just a mix. And the reason why is because you got to understand, to make that, you got cocaine a little bit, but then you can add the synthetic element. So you can literally have a little bit of cocaine cut with all this other stuff, and you can have something that can get somebody high, and you make a lot of profit.
Right. So, and Lord knows what's in that. It could probably even have the fentanyl in it. So listen, you guys, listen, all y'all weed smokers and all y'all different people doing all this stuff. Y'all better be careful out here. And especially, I'm noticing people like, I had a person that I was involved with, like that I was dealing with, and they were getting like they were going to a friend that had the pharmaceuticals and was taking a pill. I'm like, well, you don't know whether or not that this person might have ran out of that, but just want that $10 from you. And they might just give you that just to like make that $10. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what you're hitting. I don't care if you say you know this person or not, So what do you think about people that say that okay, I know this person, so I know that this person is not going to do this to me?
Man, look, you don't know what that person, where they're getting their stuff from. Ain't nowhere in the hell that I'm trusting anybody when it comes to that kind of stuff, because with drugs nowadays, you never know who's making what. I mean, there used to be an honor code. And when I said there should be an honor code on the streets, man, people wouldn't sell you something that's going to kill you. People knew where they were getting their stuff from. Stuff was pure. There was, Big Meech was talking the other day about how him and Southwest T got into issues with each other because they were buying dope, and then Southwest T was putting 20% baking soda in the dope and then repressing it. And so his cocaine wasn't pure anymore. And so he didn't know what Southwest T was putting in it. And he didn't like that. And so, but nowadays, you got people, you might buy some cocaine, some 2C, some meth, and they got everything in the world mixed in it because fentanyl is cheap and easy to get. So they can add some fentanyl into it. You think you getting some narcotics. You think you getting some X pills or something like that. And next thing you know, you hooked on fentanyl.
So you think they do that by design, or you think that they're doing it because they're out of one thing and this is cheaper to sell?
They're doing it by design. But once again, I go back to the movie Deep Cover. They were already talking about it then. Because they said, what if we came along with something that you could get high, you could still do your job, you could have energy, you didn't have to worry about moving it from place to place and getting in trouble. Think about it. Cocaine hard to move, man. It's hard. You got to brick it up. You got to hide it. You know how many pills you can get over here? You can buy pills at $2 and sell them for $20.
Wow.
How many pills you can get for $2 a pill and then sell them for $20? You know what the markup is on that?
Yeah. So now that's the sad thing for we're being hit by so much thing, by the drug epidemic, by the economy, by all these things. Let's get into the prison to the school to prison pipeline. What do you think is causing our young children to end up? Because like they're starting to get. I remember, like I know a lot of guys that I even dated that they were probably the first person in that area to actually get charged as a youth. How many people have you had to deal with that was a youth criminal and then got charged as an adult?
I've dealt with quite a few, and the school to prison pipeline is very troubling. And a lot of it is our culture is built on instant gratification. Everybody want to live like a celebrity or athlete, or everybody want to live like a drug dealer, right? And the drug dealer got all the money. He got all the cars. He has all the clout. He has all the women. And so this is what they see. And they see it's a way, it's quick money. I mean, we idolize the dope dealers in the Black community. I tell people all the time, and I'm not jealous of nobody, and I'm happy for people doing what they're doing. I'm not blaming anybody for doing what they do. They got to feed their families. But they'll give a guy coming on for prison a prison release party, but they won't give me a party for graduating from law school. They look at me as a square, a L7. But then when a guy come home from prison, hey man, he's gonna have a badge, and they're gonna be waiting for him. And so we idolize and memorialize
new outfits and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we idolize our drug dealers. We do. And I have nothing against nobody. I'm not judging nobody, because I knew some people that I grew up with, and one of the guys that I knew, he kind of got pushed into the game. And I understood why he got pushed into the game. And he broke down to me why he didn't want me to be involved in it. My grandparents, my parents, we were not raised to do anything wrong toward anybody like that anyway. I wouldn't have done it no way. But he pulled me to the side and gave me some game about life. And the reason why I say the school to prison pipeline is important, because The drug dealers are the people who have the money. They're the people who have the power. And then when you think about it, you get some juvenile, 14, 15 years old, he get caught with drugs, he just going to juvie. He not going to the big jail most of the time, unless he does something really big, and then he'll probably get charged with something bigger. But once you get in juvie, you got a lot of bad influences. The next thing you know, you're in trouble. And then the other part about it is that's an issue. Oh, you coming with the good one right now. Oh, I love this one.
The reason why I brought this up is because you have like that whole thing, and most of these kids are influenced by music, and now you see this whole takedown. Most recently, we had a little Dirk that just got sentenced. Well, he didn't get sentenced, but he's facing life.
Yeah, in trouble.
What do you think about this?
The problem we got in the music industry takedown, this is the issue I got. And I tell people this all the time. It's funny how Jay-Z and Puffy became millionaires. Now they're targets. You mean all these years that they were doing what they're doing, nobody knew anything? But when they start becoming owners and they start running their own companies and they started owning their own masters, they start to make too much money. They have too much power. When look at Puffy, he didn't have a problem until he sued that damn liquor company. He did two things. He sued that liquor company, and when they told him he couldn't be the Joker, what happened? Then all of a sudden, all these things start to come out. And so, but to me, I use my third eye. Right now, wealth in the music industry has changed hands some. You know, people don't understand, like Michael Jackson, before he passed away, he owned 50% of Sony's total catalog because of his own stuff in the Beatles. That was 50% of Tony's catalog. When you look at Jay-Z owned Tidal for, and he's still part of owner in Tidal. Sold a lot of it and got what I think he ended up buying it for $52 million, and I think he sold his interest for about $400 million or something like that. And so when you start thinking about those things, that we are in control of the music industry a lot now. A lot more of us are. A lot of us are owning our masters. But then when you think about it, the music industry in itself, it's not about talent, man. There's a lot of demonic spirits in the music industry right now. Look at the drill rap. It's all about killing your brother. There are no public enemies anymore. There's no pro-righteous teachers anymore. There's no Rakims and Big Daddy Kanes and Heavy D's. Those guys don't exist anymore. Think about it. I love me some Heavy D. My favorite MC of all time, some people get mad at me, is Big Daddy Kane. If you try to argue with me that Kane ain't the God MC, I will argue you to death.
And he fine. So.
Hey, that was my idol, man. And in high school, I had the haircut with the parts.
My hot top fade was that hot. You had the Big Daddy Kane.
I had the Big Daddy Kane with the parts. I showed somebody.
Wait, you didn't wear the polka dots, did you? You didn't do the Kwame. You didn't do the Kwame.
I didn't do the Kwame, man, because I was a Kane guy. And so it was crazy. My graduation cap didn't touch my head because my hot top fade was so high. And so, and then my second favorite MC of all time is Scarface. You know, prayers for Scarface. You know, he's been sick lately, but that's my partner. But I got to meet him and interview him. He's a good guy. Love Face. Shout out to Brad Jordan. Love him to death. But, you know, music in the Scarface era, even in the gangster rap era, was a little different because you always have balance in the game, right? You might have NWA, Scarface, and the Ghetto Boys, and 8-Ball and MJG and UGK, but you also had Poor Righteous Teachers. You had Moni Love. You had Common. You had Queen Latifah. You had MC Light. I mean, you had all those, Poor Righteous Teachers. You had your boys X-Clan, who I absolutely love X-Clan. Sissy. I mean, you want me to start going, right?
Right. so listen.
The key, the red, the black, and the green. I'm telling you.
At some point, this got introduced. The hip hop police got introduced for some reason into the rap game because a lot of people were getting money from the drug game to funnel money into the rap game to make some of the people, and that's where you get like the Big Meeches and you get like the what's his name, the guy from New York that the Haitian Jack and all
Haitian Jack and Kenneth McGriff, all those guys that 50 Cent was into argument with. Yeah.
So what do you think about that whole thing? Do you think that was by design?
It's a way to launder your money because think about it. the music game, you can actually hide a lot of money in the music game. I mean, you think about it, and people always talk about this, man, Young Jeezy, man, hey, that's BMF all day. I know he's not official BMF, but they roll for Jeezy, man. Jeezy rolls out of the BMF. I remember when I went to Atlanta, I'm gonna tell you what, I went to Atlanta when I used to work for Chris Bosh, NBA Chris Bosh. Shout out to Chris Bosh and the Bosh family, Frida, Joel, Noel. I remember first going to Atlanta during that time. The BMF was like hitting out there in Atlanta because of the NBA All-Star game was out there. And I looked at these guys, man, and they had billboards for real. Black Mafia, like BMF. I was like, who in the hell are these guys? They had billboards. I was tripping. But you could hide your money in the rap game. You could hide dope money and illegal dope money. You could hide it in the hip hop game because of all the parties, promotion, and balling. So that was the easy way to launder your money. So people, that's what they do. It's a lot of cash in that game.
Do you think that they're going to make an example, just like they did with Nature Boy out of
Oh, hell yeah, man. Puffy done. Listen, man, let me tell you something. When he messed with that liquor company, let me tell you, I'm going to break this down to you because I'm going to give you some good game on this one, right? Liquor company, right? This liquor company, I'm going to tell you where the liquor company screwed them, right? Anytime that you work for a liquor company and they sue you, right, and you're a promoter and you got this contract with them, right? All of these contracts have these clauses, right? Where it's called, they have morality clauses, right? So let's say I'm representing a brand and my contract has a morality clause because you won't want to do anything to cause a negative publicity on a liquor company because they can cut your contract and not pay you, right? So when Puffy decided to sue this liquor company, and this is my own guesstimate of what I think happened, when he decided to sue this liquor company, they're going to hire private investigators because we're talking about $500 million, $1 billion industry, $1 billion company, right? Right? Diego, they're $1 billion company.
Are they like $100 billion company or just a regular $1 billion company?
I think they're like
a billionaire right himself, right?
I think they're $1 billion company. Diego Liquors, they own a lot.
Wasn't he about to be a billionaire?
Puffy was a billionaire. Ciroc,
they would have to be like 100. Like they had to be like really like because I heard they were owned by BlackRock or something crazy. Like,
well, listen, they're a big company. So when you decide that you're going to sue them, they have these private investigators, right? These people can find anything that you've ever done in your life all the way back to when you came out your mama's womb. They know when you spit on the grass when you were 6 years old. They have those kind of private investigators that can pull everything. So what they do is when you sue them and they know they got that morality clause in there, they'll pay somebody to follow you. They'll follow you everywhere. They'll dig into all your business. Any allegations you've had in the past, they'll go in. And so what I think that started happening is they started digging. And they realized, okay, we got the situation with Cassie. We got the situation with Kid Cudi. I've been watching Puffy for a long time. So I knew about the Heavy D situation from back in the day. I knew about the situation where Father MC's baby mama lost her baby because of Puffy at one of his events.
What?
So, yeah, man, it goes way back. It goes way back, man. It goes way, way, way back. And Puffy has had several incidents. Puffy beat up Steve Stout because on the Hate Me Now situation in the video, and they had Puffy and Nas on the cross, he told Steve Stout not to put him and Nas on that cross. And in the video, he was on the cross, and he beat Steve Stout up because of that. He had to pay Steve Stout a lot of money.
Wow. I didn't even remember that one. Wow.
Because I'm a hip hop head, I follow Puffy all the way back to his Uptown days because I was always a fan of his because he was such a mogul. Like, people don't even understand like how much of a music genius he was. I want you to think about this. People remember Father MC, right?
Yeah.
What was the first big song that Mary J. Blige's voice was on? I'll do for you, Father MC.
If you
do for me. That's Mary J's voice.
Oh, I didn't know that was her. Okay.
And that's the first time she was recorded on a #1 hit. You know, the first time we heard Jodeci?
Oh yeah, baby, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
It was was that
Treat them like they want to be treated.
like they want to be? Yeah.
Yeah. So
You
Puppy
should
took
treat them right.
exactly. He took those two people. He made it work. So think about how smart he was.
Yeah. Yeah.
And look at Jodeci's one of the biggest R&B groups of all time. Mary J is one of the biggest female vocals. They call her the queen. And like you think about that. Look at the Heavy D. That's his group. That was his guy. I worked for Andre Harrell for a while. Biggie Smalls, come on, Mace.
And so then you have this whole thing. So all those guys are passed away except for Mace. But do you think P. Diddy has something to do with that? They're passing. Jamie Foxx allegedly said that he was the one who dropped the dime to the feds about P. Diddy. Look, and that's the reason why the investigation was opened up. He said that in a comedy show recently.
Look, my wife used to laugh at me because she was saying all this conspiracy stuff. And I used to look at her crazy, but I'm gonna be honest with you, I kind of agree with some of the stuff she's saying because the reason why I say this is because I understand who's connected to who. Christopher Williams went crazy for a while.
I just talked the other day, yeah.
He's connected to Uptown. Al B. Sure almost died. Al B. Sure and Kim Porter got a baby together. Kim Porter is dead.
Right.
Kid Cudi got his car blew up because he was dating Cassie.
And then the baby, they found out the baby oil had GHB in it. So
that's what I'm saying. So
and you know that GHB, when you mix it with alcohol, causes you to damn near go comatose and die. You know what
exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's like when you look at all those things, and Jamie Foxx, he would talk a little too much. I love Jamie though, but Jamie, Jamie performed at an event that Erykah Badu was doing here in the All-Star Weekend, man. And he did Blame It on the Alcohol. It was him, Tank, and Erykah Badu. NBA All-Star Weekend 2011. He came down, man. Man, he did Blame It, man. The place just blew up. You know what I'm saying? So it's one of those things where Jamie talked a little too much. You know, he started talking a little too much. Because you also remember, they wouldn't let Jamie in Cardi B's party. Remember? Jamie showed up at one of Cardi B's party and they denied him interest. I heard that he was taking his phone. He was sneaking his phone in there, taping stuff.
Mm.
And I heard Puffy was taping everybody at these freak offs.
Mm. So what do you think? Do you think that Jaguar Wright is a truth teller when you hear all this stuff now? Because she's been talking about this for the whole time, but now it's coming out, and now she's on Piers Morgan. She's out there now on all these shows. Do you think now that she had been talking about all this stuff that oh, okay, she's the truth teller? What do you think?
Look, man, I don't want no smoke with Jaguar Wright. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. I don't want no smoke with her, because I just think I'm gonna tell you what the problem I have with Jaguar Wright. You knew all this stuff for years, and it's like, so I know you've been talking a little while, but I hate to say this, but it's like, if you knew all this stuff and it's just coming out now, to me, people who are talking now, when y'all not witnesses, y'all accomplices.
Good
Somebody else said that to me, and I agree with it, because if you knew all this stuff was coming out, going on, and you just talking now, and then on top of that, I'm gonna be honest with you, Jaguar Wright is she's kind of judgment proof. What are you gonna do to her? She can say whatever she want to say because she doesn't have a lot of money to come after, and because she can go nuclear on you, wrong or right, or maybe lie on you or whatever. I'm not trying to spaz out on nobody, but at the same time, you get into an argument with her, you're not going to win from that. Typically, you have a lot more to lose.
Remember when I was trying to get you to represent her a long time ago?
Yeah, and I decided that I wasn't going to go there because this is how I am with my clients. Nothing against Jaguar Wright. Look, don't come for me because you in Dallas, I'm in Dallas. I know a lot of people leave me alone.
She's not in Dallas. She's in LA. But I just wanted to let it be known. At one point, I want to tell this story. At one point, when she was going through all that stuff, did I not call you? Because I was trying to have her back, to get her out of all this stuff. And I said, listen, because you're my attorney, right? You're my attorney, right? So I always, anything that's going on, I got friends, I'm always recommending you. You know what I'm saying?
I was going to try to, you recommended me. You tried to get me to help her. And I'm going to be honest with you, because it was your friend, I wasn't going to charge her that much. I respect her music. I love her voice. I think she has one of that What Ifs. I love that song, The What Ifs. I love that song. And me so, too. And I was going to help her, But what I thought, and I always tell this, the kind of relationship, like if you call me, Monica, and we have a conversation, you trust me with your life.
Yeah.
And I like my clients to follow what I'm telling them to do. Jaguar Wright is not going to stay on message. She's not going to do what I ask her to do. So when I have clients that are not going to trust me, they're not going to listen to me, I won't take their case. And in her situation, she wasn't going to listen to me. She was going to do whatever she wanted to do. So as a lawyer, I'm not going to go there. Do I think she's a truth teller? I think she probably knows a lot, but I think she sensationalizes stuff a lot. And then she's talking, but a lot of people can't say nothing back because they got a lot more to lose than she do. And so that's what bothers me with her. And what bothers me with her, man, I hate to say it, but, you know, I always tell people I deal with people's spirits. Like her spirit to me is just negative. And it's nothing against her, but I thought her spirit was negative. Her spirit gives me bad vibes. So if I have a bad vibe with you, I won't represent you.
But I just wanted to put it out there that yes, I did at one point did contact you. I was like, listen, I'll even help out. I'll like help out, pay it, put the down payment.
Yeah, you tried to help her.
Did everything I could. Yeah.
Monica, you tried to do everything you could. And when she started talking saucy about you, I don't care who you are and what kind of power you got. But when you start talking about somebody like Monica Lockett, who's helped me, who's been A1, and I've been knowing you for a long time. You've been nothing but wonderful to me. You've never done me wrong. You helped me with a website. You always do stuff I ask you to do. If I pay you to do something, you do it and you complete the task. You've always been solid. When somebody talk about somebody like you like that, I don't want to fool with them. So when she went and start talking crazy about you, I could never deal with her, man, because I know you solid.
And I was still like, even though she was saying whatever, I was like, well, you know, well, if he wants to, he was like, nah, can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
I say, you know what? Okay, you had to like say, you know what I'm saying? So now we're gonna take a diversion off into, you know, from the music industry just to basic stuff. Because like I said in the beginning of this thing, I was talking about how like during elections or just even probably just in general, right? There are just we talked about the high level aspect of getting, we have to talk about the drug dealers, the music industry. So those are high level cases. Let's get down into like just basic stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about things to avoid when getting stopped by the police.
The first thing you should do, you should definitely keep your hands on the steering wheel. And now when I say this, I try to tell people, cut your dome light on if you can, and put your hands on the steering wheel and pull over and keep your hands on the wheel. That way you're not reaching around your car when they're walking up. They won't see you fidgeting. And just cut your dome light on, put your hands on the steering wheel when they walk up. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Try not to argue with them. If you can comply, do comply. But because now everybody got these body cameras on, everything's on the camera. So you got to be aware that everything's on these body cameras now. So keep your hand on the steering wheel, try to comply. Don't argue with them. Sometimes when you're arguing with them, number one, you're not complying with what they're asking you to do, but you can say stuff on camera that could cause you a problem. So you don't want to come off on a camera, a body cam, as overly aggressive, but be very careful when they pull you over. Now, for Black folks, we feel even a little different. I got you some more information for you. I know a lot of us, man, we don't like stopping in dark areas. So if you're in a dark area and you see a light area somewhere close and you want to stop in a lighter area, slowly drive to the lighter area, cut your flashers on. So that they know you're not running.
Emergency flashers, like so.
Yeah,
what would say slow, like 25 miles an hour, 30 miles an hour?
Yeah, go 20 miles an hour with your flashers on and try to get to somewhere with some lights at. A lot of us feel funny about stopping in the dark. But when they pull you over, cut your dome light on, put your hands on the steering wheel.
Okay. And
try not to argue with them.
And what about, okay, because nowadays there's a lot of stuff online about, well, don't roll your window down, just show the ID. So there's like this whole thing that these sovereign citizens, well, they've come up with these rules like, or the Moors, you got the Moors, you got the different people. Okay, well, I know my rights. I know you can't, so you got to tell me first why you pulling me over and all this other. So they start to get to like trying to tell the law officer what the law is, and it's like, well, I'm sure that you're going to lose that argument every time.
Nah, man, roll your window down, put your hand on the steering wheel, cut your dome light on. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because if you do that, right, you're not going to have a problem. But if you call yourself being a sovereign citizen and not letting the window down, you're asking for a problem, because what happens is you start moving your hand around the car. You start getting verbal. They can't see in your car. They can't see if you have a weapon or not. There can be a lot of misunderstandings happening going on there. So why pull the sovereign citizen thing? Because you got your window up. They can't see in your car. You start moving around. No, don't go there. That sovereign citizen stuff don't work.
So far, we've had Sandra Bland. We had 2 women actually pass away based on that sovereign citizen aspect, right? You had the one lady who said, she thought I'm a sovereign citizen, and she was arguing the whole time. She's smoking a cigarette, da, da, da. She goes to the jail, and I don't know what she got hemmed up or something, whatever happened. Then she ends up passing away. Then you had the lady that was, Sonia Massey.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another lady. About 3 different women had gotten hemmed up off of that sovereignty aspect. So, what do you think about that whole thing? Like, what is the laws that they think that's true that's not true? You know what I'm saying?
Man, they think that you ain't got to give your ID. You don't have to identify yourself. Well, a lot of the state legislators have made it a law where you have to identify who you are. You have to show your ID if they ask for it, and they have constitutional protections to make you show that ID sometimes. And if there's a traffic stop, and what people don't understand, there's a lot of ways to justify these traffic stops or the initial engagements. And so a lot of these sovereign citizen stuff that doesn't work, man. You are just going to cause that encounter to be longer. My deal is when I get stopped, I want the encounter to run smoothly, and I want it over as quickly as possible. So when they pull some of these, I ain't got to tell you who I am. If I'm just a passenger, I ain't got to tell you who I am. No, you can't pull that stuff.
So Charles, you got to be careful. He got pulled over back. I don't know when that was, but he had dreadlocks back then. His hair was long. Now his hair is short. But he was running his mouth. So did you see that time when he got pulled over? He was like, "Yeah, my grandma." He told him. So is there a such thing as talking too damn much to the police?
Yeah, it is. And I always try to tell people, man, you got to be measured what you say to them. Don't be running your mouth. I mean, you could say some stuff that can get you in trouble. More or less, you could say more to allow them to investigate you deeper. Like, you can talk so much, but next thing you know, you could have been in your car gone. Now you out here arguing with them. Now they see something in your car that you ain't supposed to have in your car, or because of the way you're acting, you give them a clue something may be off, and they can use that to go deeper into an investigation and eventually end up searching your car, depending on what you're doing and talking about. And you got to be careful.
So is there like saying too much or saying too less? Because some people say, well, just don't talk to the police. You can say, well, I don't answer questions. Now that might even be more of a thing. I plead the fifth on stuff. So
you don't do that. If you, as far as your name and your date of birth, you ain't got to answer nothing else. It's up to you. And literally,
a lot of times the police will pull you over. They'll say, "Where are you going? Where you're coming from?" All these. Different...
a lot of those questions were set up to be able to eventually do. They're set up to see how you react to them, and sometimes those questions allow them to go deeper and ask more questions and put you in deeper situations. And so that's why you got to be careful about that.
Got to be careful with answering certain questions. So what questions should you answer?
Really, honestly, your name, your date of birth, sometimes where you're going, but you might not want to give them where you're going. You might not want them to know where you're going. And you as far as identifying yourself, you have to answer that. You don't have to answer anything else.
What about give me your ID? So
you have to if you have an ID now, you in Texas, you have to give it up now.
But certain cities, certain places, it's not like that. But in Texas, it is.
In Texas, it is, and what you need to do is do your research in your state to see if you have to give them the ID. A lot of these Republicans went in and changed the ID laws where you have to identify yourself.
And people don't know that, and so they get into an argument. I don't have to give you my ID and all this other stuff. Well, you have to tell me first why you're pulling me over, and so then they get into a back and forth. Well, you didn't tell me why are you pulling me over first? And then next thing you know, they're grabbing you out the car.
Well, a few years ago, you didn't have to give it to them, and now you have to give it to them because the law changed. And in your state, you got to do your research to figure out if you have to or not. But most of the time, the best thing to do is to give them your ID, because if you don't, what's going to happen? You end up having to stand up. They ask too many questions. They call back up. They try to figure out another way to extend the traffic stop. You don't want to do that.
Right. The more time that the traffic stop lasts, the better a chance that you might end up going to jail. Would you?
And we got to be careful about that, because I'll tell you, I had, and I'm not proud of this, but I had a situation where I was actually in a trial, right? So I was on the trial break, and I came home early that day because the judge had to go take his wife to the doctor or something. I came home and changed clothes. I live in a nice neighborhood, so I went for a walk up on McKinney Avenue over here, not far from where I'm at. And so I decide I'm gonna go get me a drink, and I get my ID at the last minute. I go and take it with me. At first, I wasn't gonna take my ID, but I was gonna get a drink. When I get up to McKinney, I decide, oh, I'm not gonna get a drink, so I'm walking back home. So I'm on the phone with my wife, and I'm on the phone, and then all of a sudden, it's like 6 cop cars swoop around me and stop. And his car comes in, and when he comes in, because I put an Affliction t-shirt on and had some blue jean shorts. Remember Affliction with all the skulls and everything?
Right.
Well, what happened was somebody had saw me walking and reported, and there were some rapes going on in the community. And this cop, they swooped down on me, and he goes, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" And I didn't mind paying attention. I said, "For what? Can I talk to you for a minute?" And I said, "No." I said, "I'm getting ready to go in my house. What are you talking to me about?" So he comes around, puts his hand on his weapon. I go like, "Oh no." So I'm mad at this point. And he goes, "Yo, well, I want to talk to you for a minute." And so on, so can I have your ID? I go, "Well, there's some business stuff going around. I need your ID." So I go, "Okay, I'll get my ID." "Okay, here." So he looks at it. He gives it back. And I'm gonna tell you, I didn't handle this right. I'm gonna tell y'all how I was, because I'm just like anybody else. He goes and looks at my ID, and he goes, "Well, I want to ask you some questions." And I was like,
Now, by the way, wait, real quick. Does your ID show that you're an attorney? It's just a regular driver's license.
No, it's a regular ID. And so I tell him, "No, well, I need to ask you this and that, because there was a rapist in the community." And I said, "Officer, this is gonna be a bad day for you." I said, "First of all, I'm not answering any more of your damn questions. Second of all, I'm a lawyer. So give me my ID back." "Well, I want to ask you some questions." I said, snap, give me my damn ID back." And at that point, the concierge in the building runs around because he's seeing everything on the camera. And he goes, "No, hey, he lives here. I got the key with the wand. I even showed him the wand that I had to get in the building." So we have this huge argument. And me and the cop, we are and I probably shouldn't have done this, because I was pissed. But black men, we have a bad relationship with the police officer. So I literally get this huge argument with him, because he had no business even stopping me. And eventually, he had to keep going, because he realized, oh, this guy's an attorney, and he left me alone. But what if I wasn't an attorney? And think about they would have had me in the back of the car, handcuffs, everything. So I was like highly pissed off.
And here's the thing: a lot of black men be back and forth and with the cops and don't realize, sir, like, chill out, like, just calm down and just give them what they know. Give them your ID. You know what I'm saying? And just don't answer no more questions. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what? I was young then. I was about 31, 32, and because I come from I was raised in the hood, so we ain't got the best relationship with police officers. Now my cousin was a DPD officer, and actually is works for the government now, is in the officer capacity now. But most of the police officers I knew, I didn't know a lot of police officers outside of going to court. But the relationship with the police officers and African American men are not the best, and I didn't handle my situation right. That's why I'm able to sit here and tell y'all, don't do what I did. Number one, because you don't want that kind of situation. And I ain't gonna lie, because I am a lawyer, I just know what they can and can't do.
And you were lucky enough to have that guy come around and say, "Hey, don't do that,"
Well, actually, he came around on his own, because he saw it get nasty, and there was nothing the guy could do. What is he gonna do? "You check my ID. I live here. Give it back. I'm not talking to you, and I'm an attorney. Hurry up. Snap, give me my ID back."
And
What are you
speaking
gonna
of
do?
that, I want to show you. So let's so this is a similar situation.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted you to like check this out, and I want you to give your opinion on it. I'm gonna play the video. So here we go.
Okay, let's go.
Here,
Do you have a positive ID on him?
my
Hold on, let me get the start from getting higher.
What happened today?
peace must be maintained. You feel the peace?
Now, by the way, first, let me give you some context. So he called the police because something was going on,
Mm-hmm.
and the police came. He was the one who called the police, right? So first, let me do this. Let me do this. The following video contains graphic content that may be disturbing to some viewers. Discretion is advised. Jackie, please put copyright in there so we don't, have to deal with anything. But yeah. So let me find it. I think she already had it up there. She always did. She's at the top. So copyright disclaimer when I play this. So here we go. Let's go into it.
He's unstable. Disturbing the peace.
So what
And
happened
the
today?
peace must be maintained. You feel the peace? You feel it?
What happened today, sir?
It needs to be maintained.
It's pretty peaceful
He
right
came
now.
into my home and I told him he can't come in without permission. Yeah. So he violated my space, my boundaries. Then came and slammed my door. So he destroyed. Yes, that's destruction of property.
Where is he currently?
He's currently in my area that I allowed him to stay in
How long has he been staying here?
for a few months now.
Okay.
Is that him right
Yes, and he needs to be evaluated or looked at or whatever you got to do.
Okay.
there? Do you have any weapons on him?
He has no weapons on him. He has no weapons.
Do you have any weapons on you?
I am the weapon.
Okay. Do you have any guns on you?
I don't use
All right.
guns.
That's all we're worried about.
Okay.
Just stay right here for me, please. Do you have a positive ID on him?
Yeah, it's funny.
Go check Elvis on the date that I ran. Elroy Clark, search on possible 49. All right, we're about to go 10-15 on him. We're gonna have a problem. He's a sovereign citizen and pretty big dude. So we could just kind of make your way this way, please. Hey, come here. Come here. Elroy.
That's not my name.
It is.
No, it's not.
It is. You got a warrant for your.
Do you know?
You got a warrant for your arrest.
Listen. Calm down.
No one's calming.
Don't listen to that man. Take off your glasses.
What is your name?
It's okay.
What's your name?
Take off. I told you, it's Ben Day.
It's not Ben Day. I got your picture pulled up, man.
That is
You're
not
Elroy.
That is not me.
Okay,
How are you going to tell me who I am?
Because I got proof. I got your picture.
That's proof.
I have your
bullshit.
ID. I have your
That's
ID.
bullshit. You got bullshit in your hands, in your eyes,
Bro,
your car.
calm down.
You're on my land. You're telling me to calm down?
You've got a warrant for your arrest.
I've been here peacefully making things happen in my world, in my space. I'm allowed to do that. I haven't troubled anyone. There's been no crime.
Here's what's going to happen.
There's no crime. It's a civil matter, and I said leave.
Here's
That's all that matters.
Put your hands behind your back.
Listen, it's a civil matter.
402 Central, give me trouble.
I am calm, and it's not about to be. It's not about to be. I want to stay calm. I want to stay calm.
If you fail to comply.
If you fail to comply to what I just said, I want to stay calm. If you fail to comply with what I just said,
Put your hands behind your back.
listen, I don't take
we're not
orders
doing
from
it.
you. Listen,
You're
do
about-
not touch me.
You're about to get tased.
For what?
You have a warrant for your arrest.
I do not have a warrant.
Put your hands behind your back.
I am Ben Day.
Okay.
Who's the warrant for?
For you.
For who?
For you.
Who's who? Who's you?
Listen.
Who's you?
Put your hands behind your back.
I am Ben Day. Do you hear what I said?
Do you have an ID?
I am Ben Day. I'm
Do
on my
you have-
property. I'm not operating in commerce.
Do you have
Is
an
it
ID?
commerce?
I don't know what that is.
You're about to get tased. I'm
Really?
not. Yeah.
You're about to
100%.
tase me on my land.
I will. I will.
You will do that.
I
What's your
will
name?
100% do it.
Slender.
That's correct.
You will tase
Put your
a
hands
peaceful
behind your
man on his land.
Can we make this peaceful?
It is peaceful. Don't you feel the peace?
No, you're yelling right now.
Okay.
So
Okay. I forgot.
if we are mistaken,
You're mistaken.
if we are mistaken,
If you're mistaken,
we can get this all cleared out.
I am Ben Day.
Right.
That's what it.
Okay.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
What's your
That's
date of
all.
birth?
You're looking for who?
What's your date of
Who are
birth?
you looking for?
What is your date of birth?
Who are you looking for? Who are you looking for?
But you're
Who
matching.
are you looking for?
Elroy.
Okay, you're matching.
You're not
Elroy
Elroy?
doesn't live here.
Okay. Where does Elroy live?
I don't know. Go ask him.
Because Elroy's
Go
address.
ask him.
Elroy's address is here.
Go ask him. Go ask him.
Put your hands behind your back.
Go ask Elroy.
Put your hands behind your back.
Go ask Elroy.
I'm going to tell you one more time. Put your hands behind your back.
I'm not matching anything. This is my estate.
Right, but keep this peacefully.
I am being peaceful. I have no weapons on me, and I told you that. I'm allowed to raise my voice. That's not against the law. That's what decibel is it that I need to go past? What decibel is it not peaceful anymore? Tell me that.
Elroy, put your
Do
hands
not
behind your
touch me.
Put your hands
Hey,
behind your
do
back.
not touch me.
Put your hands behind
Do
your
not
back.
touch me. I'm telling you, do not touch me.
I'm going to tase you.
If you tase me, it's gonna get hot in this bitch. And it's I'm telling you, it's gonna get hot. I'm telling you, it's gonna get hot. I don't care. Go ahead.
I'm going to tase you.
All right. Let me
Put your hands behind your back.
Listen.
Put your hands behind your back.
Go ahead and do what you gotta do. Go ahead. Don't touch me though. You're not allowed to touch me.
Back up.
Maintain 1 arm distance from me for your own safety.
Taser, taser, taser.
Hey,
Tase him. Tase him.
just get on the ground, please.
OC, OC. Get on the ground.
I gave you everything, and this is how you treat
On
me.
the ground, please.
I gave you everything.
On
and this is
the
how you treat
ground.
me. I gave you everything. Don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Stay on the ground.
Do not touch me. If you touch me, you're gonna see something you don't want to see.
Elroy, come on.
Get on the
telling
ground.
you,
Come on.
for your safety.
Get
and
on the
mine.
ground.
Get on
I'm
the
telling
ground.
you,
Let's make this peaceful.
if this is peace and love. This is peace and love.
Come on, Elroy.
This is peace
Get on
and
the-
love.
get on the ground.
Peace and love.
Just get on the
Put
ground.
your hands behind your
Get
back. Put your hands behind your back.
Don't touch me.
Elroy, come on.
I'm not Elroy.
What is your name again?
I'm Fentanyl.
Benday. Then put your hands behind your back.
On your back.
I'm not getting my hands behind my back. This is my land. And do not shoot me with that shit again.
Then just listen.
Go ahead and hit me with that and let it bend. And then you'll see.
Back up.
Hit me with that and
Back
bend.
up.
It's right here. It's okay.
Back up.
Hit me right here.
Benday.
Hit me. I'm
Bro,
giving you
back
permission.
up.
I'm giving you permission to show you so you can see.
Where is it?
Why are you listening to this man?
He's trying to help you.
Why are you listening to this man?
He's trying to help you.
Why are you listening to this man?
He's trying to help
Get on the ground.
I'm not getting on the ground. I'm not getting
They're
on
on
the
the
ground.
they're on the round.
Take your gun out and shoot me.
I'm not gonna shoot you.
No, so you can see.
I don't want to shoot you.
So you can see.
I don't want to shoot you.
Do not touch me.
Put your hands behind your back.
It's a civil matter, and I told you
you.
that.
And now we're trying to figure something else out.
Hey, do not go on my grass. Get off my grass. Get off my grass. Tell him to get off my grass.
He's been tased twice and sprayed.
Tell him to get off my
He's been
grass.
tased.
I've been tased.
Get on the ground.
I told you to.
Get on the ground. Hands behind your back. Hands behind your back.
Get fucking tase me, motherfucker.
All right.
Yeah,
He's up. He's up.
no, tase. No. I'm bad. Get off.
Get on the ground. Get on the ground. Stay down. Stay down.
I'm bad.
You're gonna get shot, motherfucker. I'm telling you. You're gonna get fucking shot.
Not gonna work.
Get on the ground.
It's not gonna work. You're incompetent.
Get on the ground.
Recording.
What?
If you shoot him, you are
Not lethal. Not right now.
Get on the
No one's gonna get murdered.
We don't want to hurt you. Get on the ground.
Get on the ground.
Hey Genesis, what you
Get
might
on the
want to do,
fucking ground.
don't show them where he's
Get on the ground.
because then they'll stop
Hey,
our
shut
train.
up. Get on the ground.
That's my brother.
We might want to stop there.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop right there.
Let's stop
But
there.
I mean, yeah, yep. So
Let's stop there because basically what we'll talk about is the fact that he basically gets shot after that. Is that correct?
yes,
Well, a couple of things and one of the issues is he's probably calling the police officer because he's having an issue in his home and he wants them to get their help. But a lot of times you got to realize they're going to check to see if you have warrants, which I don't know what he had a warrant for, but if it's something small, they can use their discretion not to pick him up on it and try to figure out what's going on in his home. But a lot of the times when they already knew he was a sovereign citizen, so which tells me that they dealt with him before. Or when they checked him, they realized that in the little check that they did that he was a sovereign citizen. And anytime they see those sovereign citizens, guys, that they're gonna give you a hard time. They just are. Because it becomes a power struggle, right? You're gonna try to tell them what to do, and they're gonna try to tell you what to do. And then once you engage in something physical, it's going to get messy because they got the guns. You don't have anything. So you got to be very careful about how you engage in that. Yeah, that can lead to your own demise. As a black man, we got to be careful about that as men, period, or as women, period. You don't want to engage with the police like that because you got a lot more to lose.
and maybe he felt like because they were on his property, he had certain rights.
And see, that's the thing, too. I'm not going to lie. Like, you come on my property, but see, once again, as men, that's why we got to be careful about calling outside people into our world, because when they're on your property and they're trying to tell you what to do, it's a problem because you're on your private home, you're on your private property, but you called him out there. So since you called him out there, you put yourself in a situation, so you got to be very careful. But a lot of us as men, when you're in my house, I don't care what you do for a living. If I tell you to get out, you got to go. But that's part of the problem. You called him out there, and they instead.
So does the law like change once? So say you on your property and you're calling. First of all, he knew it was a civil matter, right? Now,
well, no, it's not a civil matter sometimes because if there's an issue of somebody not leaving, it could be criminal. They're just trying to look into it. They don't know if it's a civil matter or criminal matter.
Right.
But once they start identifying you and you call them out there, and you got to be smart enough to know whether you got warrants or not, don't call them out there.
Right. If you got warrants and you trying to like engage someone for a civil matter, but he probably didn't know he had warrants. But the weirdest thing is that like he didn't have his ID. He didn't identify himself.
But he's on his own property. He's not going to know this and that. But, like sometimes you're not bringing your ID out when you call the cops. You're just in your little clothes.
So should you like have your ID ready when you call the cops? Is that like a thing that you should have ready?
If you do, I would have it. I would make sure I don't have warrants, first of all. Second of all, the problem I got, if you're a sovereign citizen, man, you don't want to deal with the police officers like that.
Right.
You don't really even need law enforcement like that.
If you're why'd you call the police? Right, exactly.
Why you even call them? You already know you're at odds with them. I mean, I'm not saying he doesn't have a right to call the police, but let's be honest, right? Some of us know ourselves, right? I know that I need to limit my pride. If I'm at the courthouse, it's one thing. But I know I need to limit my engagement with police officers because I know what kind of person I am. I'm in control of my life. You're not going to talk crazy to me. You're not going to mistreat me. You're not going to violate my constitutional rights. I'm not going to let you do that. And because I'm like that, I try to limit my interaction with the police officers. I know great officers who I have great respect for, who really do it for the right reasons. But there are some officers who don't do it for the right reason. I don't know what I'm going to get when I call somebody out. So I try not to call them out if I can avoid it.
So at some point, it seemed like a little bit of mental illness was involved with this guy. Do you think that the officer should have like known when he started like actually feeling like he was like Hercules and go ahead and tase me right here. I'm going to show you. You know what I'm saying? At some point, I think something should have triggered an officer's mind. This guy is probably not on. Maybe he's a little bit not even in his right mind, his own self. Right?
Well, I'm gonna tell you, look, like it's some people, man, you can hit them with that taser, they don't care. Like that's a love tap to some of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he was breaking away from that taser like he was Hercules. Like,
look, I've seen people get tased and they automatically hit the floor. I had a guy running from the cops one time, got tased on a fence. He broke a bone in his back and his nose. I said, man, how do you do that? Because that taser hits you, man. It stiffens your body, especially if you kind of light, right? But that taser can hit you, stiffen your body. You don't know what's going on. And so that's kind of what happened. That taser hit him and his body stiffened. So, but some people, you don't know what's going on with them. And then, look, police officers are not mental health professionals. They don't know what a guy's going to do. And then the problem is, once you're trying to take him into custody, if he grabbed your gun, you can end up dead. So I tell a lot of people, man, look, when you're dealing with somebody who's having a mental health crisis, man, it's dangerous. But at the same time, you're trying to go home to your family just like you're trying to go back in his house. So I can't get mad at nobody. But at the same time, you got to be careful about how you approach that situation as an officer, as well as an individual, because you fighting the police, you taking the tasers out, and mace ain't working, man. This thing gonna escalate. You got to know, you got to chill. But he was having some issues.
So bottom line is that the way that he was dealing with the situation escalated the situation to the point because he was not complying.
He was not complying. He already know he's a sovereign citizen. So why you even call him out there? I'm not blaming him for calling the police. He has a right to do that, right? Because I don't want to come off as flippant. But if you know you don't like dealing with police officers, don't call them out there. And if you have to call them out there, you got to know, like, I got warrants. I got to make sure I ain't got no warrants. I know some people, they be like, I ain't gonna call the police. I got warrants. I ain't gonna call them. You got to know.
A lot of sovereign citizens end up having warrants because of the fact that they've been like trying to like exercise the sovereign thing, and so therefore they end up with these warrants and then don't even know they got them.
Yeah, or they know they got the warrants and they don't give a damn about the warrants. So, and he looked like the type, he don't give a damn about the warrants. He changed his name. I don't know who y'all talking to. I'm Ben Day, right? They don't care about that. They don't care that you are Ben Day.
They don't.
you Leroy Jenkins.
Right, bend down and put your hand behind your back and bend on down.
Leroy Jenkins right now, and you don't. And so that's the problem. If you know that that's how you're gonna deal with them, I wouldn't call them out there.
So the whole thing, because I really want to drive this point home. All y'all sovereign citizens out there, all y'all people that think that y'all sovereign, and when y'all get pulled over, y'all want to like go back and forth with the police. Bottom line is that like you don't want to do that because now they have created laws, right, for sovereignty, right?
Yeah, because man, listen, you got to give your ID. They're not just gonna let you do what you want to do.
And why is the ID important?
They need to identify who you are, who they're dealing with, and because they need to be able to identify who they're dealing with.
So the first thing that you should do is be able to identify yourself in some kind of way, whether you give them your name, all that, like, well, what are you doing this for? Why am I doing all that going back and forth?
Don't go back and forth with them. Like I had an issue. Remember I told you about my stop. When he asked me, could he talk to me? I was like, no, for what? Because you don't have to talk to him. And when he asked for my ID, I gave my ID. But once he realized I don't have no warrants, I live here, the conversation is over. And so, and I knew that.
So let's talk about, when is the conversation over with police? When is talking too much at a detriment to you? Once you give your ID, or when?
It depends on the situation you're in. You give your ID, you don't have any warrants. They start asking you questions. You don't have to answer the questions. But if it's something that you can answer and not get you in any trouble, you think you can answer it. But I typically, like with that officer that day, I wasn't going to talk to him. That conversation with me and him was over. Because I knew, number one, I knew where I was all day. I was at the damn courthouse. I took my courthouse clothes to put some shorts on and a t-shirt to go to drink, and I was walking back. So I knew where I had been. And when he said what he was talking about, I was like, I've been in trial all day. And I happen to be a lawyer. So I was like, no, I'm not talking to you anymore. I mean, this conversation over. Well, I got some questions. No, this conversation is over. What are you talking about? Give me my ID. And he had to let me go.
So let's talk about like when police pull you over and they say that there is a smell of marijuana in the car. Because that's one big way that people get hemmed up a lot, is that a police officer will pull you over and say, I smell marijuana in the car. What should you do in that case?
Don't smoke in your car. If you're going to smoke, don't smoke in your car. I tell all my clients, number one, don't smoke in your car ever. And if you're going to smoke in your car, don't smoke in your car and have a gun in the car.
Just weed.
Don't smoke in your car, cigarettes, whatever. Don't
Well,
smoke
no,
in your
the reason
car.
why I say cigarettes, right? Because they can say, "Oh, that smells like weed."
Yeah. Don't smoke in your car. And then what most people don't understand in Texas, like for example, you can have a license to carry and have some marijuana in the car and have your gun be legal, but because you got a controlled substance weed in the car, because you got the gun in the car, the weed makes the gun illegal. You get 2 charges instead of 1.
Wow. So let's talk about that. Having a concealed carry license, and how does that make? So how important is it to like be like lawful when it comes to that? Like, let's go.
Well, right now, you know, you can carry now, you know, unless you're going into certain places, you can carry now. It's very important if you have but back in the day, if you have a concealed handgun license, that was important. But now you can like carry. It's open carry in Texas now. So you got to be very, very careful, except places that prohibit it. But you got to be very careful because it's open carry now. That's why people commit crime. You got to be careful. You run up on somebody thinking you're going to take from them, they can pull out a gun and shoot you. Now, me, I typically don't carry a weapon because I'll probably take them damn anger management classes first. I look. I was talking to somebody the other day and they started laughing at me. And I told them, I was like, nah, I'm not laughing. Like I own weapons because my grandfather gave me a Desert Eagle and I got a shotgun. But I don't carry them. I don't touch them. And I'm gonna be honest, open carry ain't for everybody, man. Like, you know, some people got, like, if you know you got a hot temper, man, you can't go around here, you know, letting stuff escalate to where you pulling your weapon on people. But me, I just don't carry. I gotta take them damn classes first.
Right. And then here's the thing is also like having that weapon in the car, and then when you alert the police that you do have a weapon, what does that do? Because I've always seen every time if a person said they got a weapon, they get pulled out the car. Period.
Man, look, you know what I said when they first started doing open carry? I say that's a setup. People go like, why? I said, man, look, when they carry their guns, it's different. But we carry our guns, man. Listen, me and my buddy Trey Harris, he gonna laugh at this, one of my buddies from law school. He said, man, you can go into a restaurant. The dudes can walk in there with their deer hunting stuff on, their guns showing left and right, hanging out of their back and their pocket and everything else like that. They come in there, nobody moves. But a group of black men come in there dressed hip hop, carrying a bunch of guns. The whole restaurant would damn near clear out and they call the policeman and they'd run down on the place. Right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's why I said that whole open carry stuff was a setup.
Right. And you see like a lot of like celebrities getting caught on that. They have all these like pistols. I think T.I. got caught up with like some real serious stuff, like some serious gun
charges.
Yeah. So
I remember there was a situation where this guy was walking around a neighborhood. I think his mom had just moved there, or he was just walking. And these guys start following him. And they had weapons. And then they started to argue. And I said to myself, I said, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Because you walking around a neighborhood that maybe a relative or friend live in, and these people are asking you, do you belong there? They riding you, following you. You know they got guns. Man, that's a setup. That's a full setup.
Right. So how should a person behave if they do have a pistol in their car?
Tell them when you pull you over. Tell them I know it's open carry. My gun is in this car. Tell them where it's at. I do have a gun in here. I'm telling you. Be upfront and let them know you have a gun there. If you keep your hands on the steering wheel, keep your dome light on, and tell them that, you won't have a problem.
What about weed?
The problem is you got weed and the gun in the car. The weed and the gun is illegal.
What if you just have weed?
Well, they can charge you with possession of marijuana. Now, a lot of the cases in Dallas don't get filed because of the little possession charges, but you go to Collin County, you go to Rockwall, they still try Rockwall Terror. They're still going to arrest you for possession of marijuana.
So the best thing to do is to not
So-
have, and I don't understand why people feel like they got to smoke in their car. Be smoking.
No, don't smoke in your car, man. Don't smoke in your car, because I had one guy, man, smoke marijuana in his car. He had some dope in his car, some guns, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Got in trouble for all of them because they smell marijuana.
And people don't realize how strong that marijuana smell is. I think that they become numb to it, you know,
Yeah.
because that marijuana, that weed smell is very strong, and they'll be like thinking that they're smelling good, and they spray a couple things. They get it from the corner store and spray that, and think it's going to cover it up. It's like, nope.
No, look, I got cologne galore, but you can't cover that weed smell up. And in addition to that, and it goes back to something I said to y'all before, right? I don't do any drugs. I never done a drug, never tried a drug in my life. And people go like, why? Because I always, growing up, I always looked at the drugs was a way for the police to get into you. When I say get into you, I don't want to give them a reason to interact with me. I didn't want that. So I felt like if I was doing some drug or something like that, they had a reason to be able to interact with me, and I don't want it.
So finally, I wanted to get into females getting into more trouble than nowadays. Do you find that you're getting way more cases of women getting locked up? And what would you say about that?
I had a young lady. She was robbing people online, robbing it, taping it, and posting it to Facebook.
Wow. And that's another thing, social media and crime. Like, so I want to get into that real quick, and then because you know it's about to be the final thing, and then I want to give your final thoughts about like how we need to deal with police. But let's get into that, females, and then social media and how it affects crime and cases. Like, do you feel like, have you lost any cases because they were posting it online and this, that, the other?
Definitely, man. They were posting stuff online. They tell everything they do. They be on their guns, pointing, listen to the rap music. Here they go. They listening to, you know what I mean? They listen to Key Glock, Young Dolph, and Yo Gotti and Moneybag Yo at the same time, and Lil Durk, and they got the drill music going, pointing to the screen with the gun, flashing money. Man, I'm telling you, I saw so many cases like that. And then when it comes to females, I'm gonna tell you something, and nothing against my sisters, my beautiful sisters. I love y'all, but man, there's some sneaky, conniving women out here. There's a lot of setup stuff happening. I've had a case where this girl set this two different guys were trying to pimp her, and she set one of the pimp guys up, and he got killed right after he slept with her.
And see, here's another thing is that too. You a lot of guys will. How many cases do you see where a woman takes the fall for the guy?
A lot of women are taking a fall for these guys. They getting in trouble, and they're starting to charge more women. Sometimes these officers know it ain't the woman, it's the guy, so they won't even file a case on the woman. They'll file a case on the guy. And then there's a lot of women out here setting guys up to be robbed, like on these dates and these dating platforms and social media. They're setting these guys up to hit them for licks, cash out scams. I'm gonna sleep with you scams. I'm gonna find out when you're safe in your house, and then I'm gonna come over to spend the night one day. And while you nod off, she let the guy in the back door. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like that going on in the world right now. I'm seeing it a whole lot.
And they're starting to charge women more heftily when it comes down to that, aren't they?
These women are gangster out here, man. It's rough out here. Like, I try to tell guys, you got to be careful who you sleep with, become involved in relationships with. And if you notice, relationships are different now. Men and women are dealing with each other differently than they have in the past. And if you're a man of means, you have money, whether you're a street guy, a professional guy, you got to be careful who you bring to your house.
That's crazy. And then let's go a little bit into like the domestic aspect of things really quick about how things are cracking down when it comes to that, female and male.
But if y'all get into a fight, somebody's going to jail, and they're not going to dismiss these cases anymore. And I try to tell people, man, y'all got to start getting along a lot better, right? Y'all got to start getting along a lot better. And then there is a lot of sometimes where women are engaging in the fighting, or they're engaging in the abuse first. And they're starting to arrest women for that a little bit. more often because you got some women you can't break up with them. They ain't gonna let you do that.
And then on top of that, you have like so it's a lot of time people think that it's a domestic thing, so they feel like, oh, okay, they're not gonna like, that's domestic, right? So, oh well, I could just say that he didn't do that or she didn't do that, and then the police will go away and say, but now the prosecutors are beginning. So let's talk about how the prosecution is changing now. And
they're still filing those cases, and what people don't understand, the body cam, right? We got these body cams on, so you call the police out to your house. You and your boyfriend just got into it in the past. They didn't see your face. They didn't see the scars. They didn't see how scared you were. But now these officers are coming out there with their body cam on, right? So they're seeing your eye black. They're seeing the distress on your face. They see you got a bruise on your arm. And you're telling the story right after he didn't hit you or she didn't hit you. So they have all that information. So the prosecutors now, they're filing those cases because they got it physically in video what was done. Now they might not have the punch and action there, but they see your eye black, they see your lip bloody, they see you got a scar. If you're a man, they saw you got a scratch on your face. So now they have proof because the body cams are game changers. Body cams, and I'm gonna tell y'all this: body cams and video technology has changed the crime game completely and utterly, because cell phones, they can find out where you been, where you at, and when you were there, and how you traveled there, and how long it took you to get there. They can map you. They got geo mapping. And then all of these cameras, there's a company called Flock cameras. Man, they take pictures of license plates. They can find out where you've been if your car passed a certain point. Technology, especially these people running in, doing these snatching grabs, that's over. Technology is a game changer in criminal law.
oh,
You can't get away with nothing no more, because between people having ring cameras, doorbell cameras, block cameras, light cameras.
Wait, so they can access a person's ring camera that and don't even have to get permission by the property owner? Is that what you're saying? That they don't have to even ask them?
There's this company called Flock Technology that's all over Texas, and they actually have contracts with a lot of these municipalities, and they run video and they take license plates and they take information, and they got cameras everywhere, like stoplights or stop signs all over the community. They're everywhere.
So we need to like really think that listen, this whole like prison thing is major business, right?
It is.
Go into that real quick before we go, because it's big business to like put people in prison, into jail, and all this stuff. So let's.
No, prisons are big business because there's a lot of investment. Private equity firms invest in prisons because in certain lines of business, there will always be business to do. There'll always be a need for doctors. There'll always be a need for lawyers. There'll always be a need for prisons because people are going to make mistakes and they're going to get locked up. The funeral home business, there'll always be funeral homes because people are going to die. So I tell people there's about 5 or 6 industries, no matter what you do, they're going to exist and they're going to be profitable because people are going to continue to get in trouble. So if I'm an investor and I know that I can invest in a prison and it's going to bring me a profit, I'm going to get involved in prisons because people are going to continue to get locked up. And as a people, as the African Americans, my people of color, black, brown, whatever, or my people that are underprivileged, we got to be smart. I mean, black people have put themselves in a situation where they're going to jail and they're spending all of their wealth paying lawyers, myself, but paying court fees, bondsmen, all this other stuff. They're reducing their ability to earn by getting criminal charges. But let me tell you something. We are in a dirty cycle. And politically, Democrats or Republicans, I don't think, Republicans, you got the racists over there. The Democrats, you got the status quo over there. I'm upset at politics, period, because I think both of them have their reasons for not helping us.
Right. So I was actually fixing to vote for Dr. Cornel West, because I was like, out of anybody, I don't agree with either side, but really, so one final question is going to get really, really scientific. AI. How do you think that AI in the future is going to affect law enforcement?
It's going to be a game changer because artificial intelligence, they have artificial intelligence right now in some of these stores. They got what they call, face recognition, right? So that's part of AI. AI, because you can generate fake videos and fake evidence. It's going to be something you can do fake voices. I mean, the internet and technology itself, like Nipsey Hussle said, it's like a gold mine. It's going to be like the gold rush era. So who leads in technology sometimes can control how the future of America and the future of our people go. And so AI is going to be a problem because you can make videos, you can make somebody look like they did something, said something, look a particular way, and it could be completely computer generated. AI is going to be a game changer. And it's a game changer for a number of reasons, because to me, it places more power and the powers that be, and it gives us, especially as African Americans and people of color and the underprivileged, even less power.
And it places power like out of the government into the hands of the corporation.
Exactly. And those corporations are going to figure out ways to monetize. Google, Facebook, Flock,
Elon Musk,
Twitter,
X or whatever his name is.
X, exactly.
Robots coming out, and I'm like, y'all think these robots are cute? It can cook for you, but honey, that same move that can like flip a pancake could be the thing that smack you across the face and knock you across the room. So I'm like, this is the future. And even in New York right now, they have like law enforcement dog like lawn like type of things that are like monitoring the airport. I mean the sub system. So it hasn't quite hit everywhere yet, but I'm like, y'all don't even realize how much closer to like what's that thing on thing called
iRobot, all of that stuff. Yeah, man. Listen, you gotta realize that the game has changed to a point. Sorry about that, y'all. The game has changed to a point where technology is going to be a game changer, and it's within itself.
Do you think that lawyers are going to get replaced by AI at some point?
Nah. I think they'll try, but the problem is every situation is different. And I always tell people will pay for a number of things. People will pay to stay alive, and they'll pay to stay out of jail.
So listen.
And you don't want a robot handling your situation that keeps you free.
So listen, this has been a great live. It's been 2 hours and 7 minutes. Did you realize that much time has passed on?
I hadn't, but it's been great talking to you, Monica. And I just want to give the people the game. And if there's ever an opportunity, if you ever want me to come on live again, then we definitely will do that again. And also so that people know, I can be reached at attorney Calvin D. Johnson at gmail.com as my email. I can be reached at www.theywon'tletmeout.com. And that is my website. It's funny, I use that from the song Locked Up. And so I do criminal defense. I do a little bit of entertainment law. Shout out to my brother, my Dixon brother, Seven the Great, hip hop artist, him and Puka Leroy. We're going to be releasing a song pretty soon. It actually has a Jodeci sample called I Got Your Back. So we're going to be doing the video for that pretty soon. I want y'all to look out for this weekend on Sunday. My great friend A.L. Smith and my brother Charles Harper. A.L. Smith is a director. We did a movie, a social justice movie called He Never Came Home. And it's the story of Lehman Howard. He was a guy back in the day, 40, 50s, 60s, that got convicted of murdering a white woman in Louisiana, but he had mental problems. And the people, the officers and the authorities in Louisiana kept him incarcerated for 20 or 30 years, and they got him to confess to a crime that he didn't commit. It's called He Never Came Home. We're going to be in Shreveport on Sunday. If you want to go on YouTube, you can put up He Never Came Home and A.L. Smith, and you'll see the documentary is going to be released Sunday. Shout out to A.L. Smith. He never came home. We're going to be in Shreveport at the theater down there. It's going to be a sold out venue. So shout out to Angela Smith. She also did a documentary on human trafficking. And so he never came home after 7 years, and then Macon is there. So we appreciate this. And if you want to get in touch with me, www.theywon'tletmeout.com, attorney Calvin D. Johnson at gmail.com, or I can be reached at one of the two numbers, 214-565-5600 or 469-583-3663. Or you can find me on Facebook as I'm with Calvin Johnson or attorney Calvin D. Johnson. I got several different tags, or you can, or there's a show that we used to do, is I'm no longer doing. It's called It's On Us, but that was my campaign slogan when I ran for city council. But next time we'll talk about politics. But this won't be my last time on your show. And if you ever need a legal analyst on any of your conversations, hey, Annika, I'll do anything for you. I'll be glad to come on again. We love you, and I love that you got your own podcast. And I hope anybody watching this subscribe to her podcast. We want you to enjoy. All right.
Thank you so much, Calvin. This was a great stream. It was, man, so enlightening. And I can't wait to have you back on. I'm gonna make up some things for you to come back on, because it's very important to hear from our lawyers, people that's in the law enforcement. It's you'd be surprised when I went, when I went to jail, how many African Americans are in law enforcement. We kind of like are a stakeholder in that. And so we need to utilize our people that are in this. Why are we going and then we're the main ones running it? It's crazy to me.
You know what I would tell people? The biggest problem that I had with people, sometimes they don't want to hire their own to represent them, and they need to take a different look at that, because we are putting other people's kids through school using other lawyers that are not like us, right? We need to start trusting our own to represent us, to understand us, and we need to start doing business together and have the money circulate in our own communities.
Shay, thank you so much, man. This was amazing. I thank you so much, Calvin. This was a great live, and I appreciate you so much. Thank you so much, though. So the final thing I'm gonna say is, I want you to say, I'm attorney Calvin Johnson. This is Alchemizing Energy, and I'm bringing darkness to light.
I'm attorney Calvin Johnson, and this is Alchemist Energy, and I'm bringing darkness to light. We love Monica Lockett. We love her show. Do what you got to do. We love this podcast, and I'm going to subscribe. We want you to subscribe too.
Thank you so much. Peace.
All right. Take care now.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy. My friend, let your spirit be free. Don't give up, keep on pushing through. Now is the time, it's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.